On a cold March night in 1930, in the darkest street of Chicago, as the doors of the Lexington Hotel were knocked, known as the fortress of the era's most ruthless gangster, nobody could have predicted that what no one had ever dared to do until that night would actually happen. Alphonse Gabriel Capone, known to everyone as Al Capone, was one of the most powerful criminals in the United States, and this hotel on South Michigan Avenue had become the center of his unshakable empire. So what was a special team from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, known as the Untouchables and led by Eliot Ness, doing in this fortress tonight?
My name is Tommy Morrison, and as I tell you this story, I remember that night as if it happened yesterday. In March of 1930, I was working as a member of Eliot Ness's special team on the icy streets of Chicago. We were Federal Bureau of Investigation agents, specially selected to stop Al Capone, the most dangerous criminal of the era. They called us the Untouchables because Capone's money and threats had no effect on us whatsoever. Chicago was one of the darkest cities in the United States at that time. The Prohibition law had banned alcohol sales, but this ban had become a gold mine in the hands of gangsters like Al Capone. Secret bars, known as speakeasies, operated on every corner of the city. Police and judicial officials were bought with bribes, and the streets turned into pools of blood. And at the center of all this dark empire, at 2135 South Michigan Avenue, stood the Lexington Hotel. The Lexington Hotel was a magnificent 5-story structure built in 1892, originally designed for World's Columbian Exposition visitors. This hotel had been Al Capone's headquarters since 1928. Capone stayed on the 4th floor of the hotel with numerous bodyguards and managed all his dirty business from there. The hotel was like a fortress. Armed men at every entrance, gangster guards patrolling the corridors, armored doors, and secret passages. Chicagoans called this place Capone's Castle. On that cold March night, Ness had gathered us in his room. In the dark meeting room, plans and photographs of the Lexington Hotel lay on the table. Ness's face was tense, with a determined expression in his eyes. George Stone, Oscar Wallace, and Jim Malone were beside him. We all knew how dangerous this operation would be. "Gentlemen," said Ness, with cold determination in his voice, "we have an opportunity to catch Capone. Our intelligence sources say there will be an important meeting at the Lexington Hotel tomorrow night. All of Capone's top men will be there. This is our golden opportunity." Jim Malone, the experienced police officer, frowned. "Ness, that hotel is like a fortress. Capone has at least 20 bodyguards there. How will we get in? How will we get out?" "We'll use the surprise factor," said Ness. "We'll attack at midnight, when Capone and his men are least prepared." That night, on the way to the hotel, walking through Chicago's cold streets, I could hear my heart beat. The city's silence was broken only by the distant sounds of cars and dripping snow. As we approached the Lexington Hotel, the building's size and majesty surprised me. Every window of the building harbored potential danger. Ness gave us final instructions. "Morrison, you and Stone will enter through the back entrance. Wallace and Malone through the main entrance. I'll enter through the side entrance. Everyone stay connected by radio. Our main goal is to find and capture Capone, but our own lives are more important than anything." As we approached the hotel, even the building's exterior appearance frightened me. The 5-story structure rose in the darkness of that night. Some of its windows were lit, others were dark. We couldn't know from which window bullets would rain down on us, from which door Capone's men would emerge. As George Stone and I approached the back entrance, the excitement in my heart increased. Stone silently approached the door and tried to pick the lock. The sounds coming from inside music and conversation showed that the hotel was still active. At that moment, we didn't know what was happening inside, where Capone was, or what was waiting for us. When the door opened, we quietly entered. The hotel's interior was much larger and more complex than it appeared from the outside. Narrow corridors, upholstered walls, thick carpets, and the sense of threat that could come from any corner. The hotel's atmosphere really resembled a mafia headquarters. While walking through the first floor's corridors, the distant sounds worried us. Poker game sounds from one side, drunken men's laughter from the other, and occasional sharp shouts. Every corner of this hotel had Capone's men. At that moment, Ness's voice came through the radio. "Gentlemen, we entered through the main entrance. No resistance yet, but be careful." It said that Capone is on the 4th floor. We decided to use the stairs to reach the 4th floor. At every step, we heard the wooden floor creaking, fearing we'd be caught. Our hands were on our weapons, ready to fire at any moment. Entering the home of Chicago's most dangerous gangster was like walking in a lion's den. When we reached the 2nd floor, the scene before us was surprising. Throughout the corridor, there were expensive paintings, crystal chandeliers, and luxury furniture. Capone had really decorated this hotel like a palace. But behind all this luxury, there was the smell of death and violence. As we approached the 3rd floor, the noise increased. I could hear the poker game sounds more clearly. Men's conversations, girls' laughter, music sounds. Most of the hotel's 3rd floor was used as an entertainment center for Capone's men. Stone silently signaled me. At the end of the corridor, 2 armed men were standing guard. They were protecting the entrance to the stairs leading to the 4th floor. This meant that Capone was really upstairs. At that moment, we had to change our plan. The guards needed to be silently neutralized. Stone approached from the left, I from the right. We held our breath, trying to move as quietly as possible. Every step could be our last. When Stone approached one of the guards, the man suddenly turned. That brief moment of silence felt like it lasted for hours. Then, sudden movement. Stone jumped on the man, and I jumped on the other guard. After a short but intense struggle, we silently neutralized both of them. Ness's voice came through the radio again. "Morrison, how's the situation?" "We're climbing from the main hall to the 3rd floor. We're at the entrance to the stairs leading to the 4th floor," I replied. We neutralized 2 guards. We're approaching Capone's room. While climbing the stairs to the 4th floor, my heart was beating so fast I was afraid it would make noise. At every step, I was thinking about the new dangers we would face. Capone was one of the most ruthless criminals in the United States. When he confronted us, he definitely wouldn't surrender. When we reached the 4th floor, we were in the hotel's most luxurious section. The corridors were wider, the ceiling higher, the furniture more expensive. This floor, where Capone's private suites were located, really resembled a king's palace. At that moment, loud conversation sounds came from a room. Male voices, arguments, making plans. When we listened carefully, we estimated there were 5 or 6 people inside, and we realized that one of the voices belonged to Al Capone. That characteristic Brooklyn accent, that powerful and confident tone. Capone was inside. Stone and I took position beside the door. I called Ness on the radio. We found the target. In the big suite room, about 6 people. "Capone is inside." "Excellent," said Ness. "We're also climbing to the 4th floor. Prepare for attack, but wait for us to come." While waiting, I tried to listen to the conversations inside. Capone was telling his men about operations in various parts of Chicago. Alcohol, smuggling, gambling games, extortion. This man controlled half the city. A few minutes later, Ness and the other team members arrived. We all took positions around the door. Ness gave us final instructions. "There are 6 people inside. We want to catch Capone, but if they resist, we'll protect ourselves. Are you ready?" "We're ready," we replied. And at that moment, Ness kicked the door hard. The door opened with a loud crash. "Federal Bureau of Investigation, hands up," he shouted. The scene inside remained in my mind in a way I'll never forget for the rest of my life. In a large, luxurious hall, 6 men sat around a poker table. In the middle were large amounts of money, liquor bottles, and cigarettes. and at the head of the table sat the famous Al Capone. When Capone saw us, there was neither fear nor surprise on his face, just a cold, calculating look, as if he had predicted this situation beforehand. He slowly stood up, raised his hands, but his eyes were still defiant. "Gentlemen," said Capone, with ironic calmness in his voice, "were you looking for me?" Ness, pointing his gun at Capone, approached him. "Al Capone, you're under arrest by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Charges of tax evasion, smuggling, and participation in organized crime." Capone laughed. "Tax evasion? All this preparation for that?" At that moment, one of Capone's men suddenly moved. He reached for his gun, but Stone was faster. A single shot was fired, and the man fell to the ground. The other men, understanding the seriousness of the situation, surrendered. "Capone," said Ness, taking out the handcuffs. "This is the moment we've been waiting for a long time." Even while being handcuffed, Capone didn't lose that cold look. "Ness, you can arrest me, but you'll never control Chicago. New ones will come after me." While leaving the hotel, I was thinking about how true Capone's words were. Indeed, in Chicago at that time, organized crime was so deeply rooted that arresting one person couldn't change the entire system. Outside, Chicago's cold streets greeted us. While putting Capone in the police car, there were eyes watching us from the hotel windows. This operation had been successful, but the war wasn't over yet. Capone looked at me from inside the car. "Young man," he said, "there's no such thing as justice in this city. There's only power, and power always wins." On the way to the police station, Capone's silence bothered me. His eyes watched outside through the window, as if he was making plans. As Chicago's nightlights illuminated his face, I realized once again how dangerous this man was. His lawyers would already be on their way. The media had heard this news, and Capone's supporters from every corner of the city would start gathering. I remember that night as one of the unforgettable nights of my life. The operation at the Lexington Hotel represented not just an arrest, but also an important turning point in the United States fight against organized crime. The next day, all the newspapers made this news their headline. "The Untouchables caught Al Capone." Headlines spread to every corner of Chicago, but I knew that the real war was just beginning.
Although this operation at the Lexington Hotel lasted only one night, it holds an important place in the United States' history of fighting crime. Al Capone's arrest went down in history as one of the greatest victories of the Prohibition era. However, as Tommy Morrison said that night, this victory was only the beginning. Chicago's dark streets still harbored many stories, and organized crime would continue to exist in different forms. This story shows that courage and justice, no matter how powerful, can stand against evil.